What's up, YouTube? What's up? So apparently, for my cousin Vinny, Andrew Dice Clay was actually considered for that role, but Joe Pesci got it. How do I feel about that? If I look at the pompadour and the kind of heavy, thick accent and the tone, I could see it. It would have been comical, him and Marissa Tomei, but I don't know if it would have fit. And I don't know if he would have, because he was always like a spoof actor. You kind of like he had this over the top typecast vibe, but he didn't really. It was like selective if you were into him. I watched his movies. I remember when some people were offended by Dice, and you know, he was over the top with the whole adaptation. Now, the imagery of what Joe Pesci was trying to do is kind of like they left some of that layering in there. But Pesci and Marissa Tomei had real good chemistry, so I don't know if Andrew Dice Clay could have necessarily. I'm not saying him and Marissa Tomei couldn't have made it work, but her and Pesci really did connect. It really did, you know. I don't know, Andrew Dice Clay, especially when you consider Herman Monster was the judge and Fred Gwynby, and that whole exchange between him and Joe Pesci was hysterical, but low key. It was interesting. I don't know if Andrew Dice Clay pulls that off. You know, it was a lot of dialect, a lot of, you could see Andrew Dice Clay flopping his hair and moving around. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe, I will say this. Ralph Macchio and his sidekick character were kind of stiff. So maybe if Andrew Dice Clay had been one of the buddies, maybe with Ralph Macchio's buddy, maybe. But to play that lead role, I don't know. I always thought that Ralph Macchio was a little bit like he was in the back roads and it was like lost, and it didn't quite jive because that's where Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei stole the show. You almost forgot about Ralph Macchio's character because he was kind of just an afterthought. And I'm trying to remember who was the actual supposed to be the star of this movie. Was it Marissa Tomei? Was it Joe Pesci? Because Ralph Macchio was Karate Kid Part 88. So would Andrew Dice Clay have made a difference? He may have could have played a role. I don't know in Joe Pesci's role, but he may have could have played a role. But anyway, it makes for an interesting debate. Um, we can discuss it. It's it's funny when you find these tidbits about who almost was in these movies, and you watch these movies 5, 6, 7 different times, and then you hear that so and so could have been in it, and then when you see it, and then you kind of like, wow, him really? That's what would have. That's interesting. Interesting observation. So anyway, I think that they made the right choice with Joe Pesci. You know, I think Andrew Dice Clay would have been a bit much, but just saying. So anyway, let me know what you think though in the comments though, because this is gonna be real interesting. Who you think should have got the role? Did they get it right with having Joe Pesci, or would you like to see Andrew Dice Clay? It'd be interesting. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands, keep your mind clear, watch out for another. Share it if you like, and hit that membership, because when you do requests like this come true, stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. Catch you next time. And next time I watch my cousin Vinny, I'm gonna be studying some things when I watch him out.